Greetings, human intellects of this world. In our journey, much has been said about your Middle Ages and the attempts of humans to form methods in explaining your very world's behavior. But now we will focus on a human whose contribution on scientific method greatly influenced your evolution of thought regarding the scientific investigation of your world's behavior. His name is Francis Bacon. He was seen by some people during that time as the forerunner of a fresh approach to science. The philosophers also saw Bacon as a pathfinder and an advocate for a novel inductive experimental approach. Bacon himself insisted that his approach was novel. He selected the title Novum organum, or New Organon, for his main book on method, signifying that it would take the place of the method covered in the Organon, which is a collection of Aristotle's writings from the Middle Ages. For a number of reasons, Bacon criticized Aristotle's writings. According to him, Aristotle and his adherents engage in random, unquestioning data gathering. He insisted that methodical experimentation be used to uncover new knowledge about nature, emphasizing the need of using scientific tools while gathering data in this context. The Aristotelians, for him, make hasty generalizations. When presented with a few observations, they immediately go to the broadest principles, from which they subsequently deduce more specific generalizations. Additionally, for Bacon, Aristotle and his adherents rely on induction by simple enumeration, which asserts that correlations of properties found to hold for several members of a given type hold for all members of that type as well. However, because negative examples are rarely taken into consideration, the application of this inductive process frequently results in incorrect conclusions. Now, Bacon raised two major issues with the deductive phase of scientific inquiry. Aristotle and his adherents had overemphasized the deduction of implications from first principles, which had reduced science to deductive logic. Bacon emphasized that deductive arguments only have scientific validity if their underlying premises are properly supported by inductive reasoning. To address the alleged shortcomings of the Aristotelian conception of procedure, Bacon proposed his new method for science. The two main components of Bacon's new approach were a strategy of exclusion and a focus on slow, incremental inductions. According to Bacon, a correctly done scientific investigation is like climbing a pyramid of propositions, starting at the bottom and ascending to the top as you progress, in order to provide a strong foundation for the pyramid. As per Bacon, after the facts in a specific field have been established, the natural philosopher should look for connections within these facts. And he insisted on an upward inductive process starting with correlations with a limited degree of generality and moving up to more inclusive correlations. The reality that certain correlations between facts are merely accidental connections was known to Bacon, and this is quite fortunate. He developed an exclusion strategy to eliminate accidental associations. According to Bacon, it is possible to find accidental correlations by looking at the presence, absence, and degree tables. Any correlation where one characteristic is absent when another is present, or where one attribute decreases while the other grows, is to be discarded when building the pyramid. In Bacon's opinion, only important correlations would remain once accidental correlations have been eliminated in this manner. Not only this, but also important correlations make ideal material for additional inductive generalizations. The most general principles at the top of the pyramid were referred to by Bacon as forms. Forms are the linguistic manifestations of the relationships between simple natures, those unchangeable characteristics found in the things you can see, or the ultimate ingredients of things from which their basic material structure has been built, such as heat, weight, shape, etc. According to Bacon, the objects of your experience are made up of different combinations of these simple natures, and if you could only learn about forms, you would be able to influence and change the laws of nature in your universe. True, Bacon aimed to improve the scientific process, but Bacon's conception of science goes beyond his proposed corrections of Aristotle's idea of the process. Man must regain the dominion over nature that he lost in the fall, according to Bacon, who viewed it as a moral requirement. He underlined over and over that in order to raise the standard of living of his fellow humans, mankind must be able to manage and guide natural forces. Thus, the finding of forms is simply the immediate objective of science. Before forcing nature to accommodate human needs, you must acquire an understanding of forms. But controlling nature is the ultimate aim of science. In stark contrast to Aristotle, who believed that knowledge of nature is a goal in itself, Bacon strongly focused on the practical application of science. The most glaring distinction between Bacon's thought and the Aristotelian philosophy he intended to replace is this emphasis on the manipulation of natural forces. This point in your evolution of thought gradually changed your view of how you should analyze and dissect your reality through language. A change that I will discuss thoroughly in the future.